Hey everyone, SunTide here. Hope you're all doing great. So, have you ever looked at the update patch notes for Monster Hunter Wilds and just found incredibly vague things? If you look at, say, for example, the patch notes for the hammer, it just says the overall power of attacks has been increased, which is nice. It's nice to know that there are buffs, but what exactly were those buffs? That's what we're going to talk about today. See, so if you don't know about this by now, there's a class of people called data miners, and what data miners do is they go through like the massive, I don't know, how big is it, like 30 gigabyte Monster Hunter Wilds file. They go through all of that and they find the parts that, we might care about as players. And so this data miner called the Tilnor has gone through the new patch and found out all the different things that happen to all of the different weapons, and they put it in a spreadsheet, which I'll link in the description. And yeah, so it tells you everything you need to know about like every single attack. You can see every single property, a lot of which like we just don't know what they do yet, and a lot of which are incredibly useful in like very precise situations. What I've done is I create a bit of Python code that goes through the data mines for the current patch and the last patch, and that way we can know exactly what changed and how they changed for every single weapon and for every single type. Now, to be clear, a lot of these things, could be missing. So my code might have missed some things, the Tilnor's data mining might have missed some things. But to my best understanding, this is the best idea we got of what exactly changed from patch to patch with every single weapon. So let's go through it. Today we're just going to go through my unofficial patch notes, link in the description as well, and go through the official patch notes and see exactly what the official patch notes were saying. So, I think we should start with the weapon that had the biggest buffs in the game, and that's the hammer. So the official patch notes say that the overall power of attacks has been increased, and if you look at the actual details of that, that definitely did happen. So some attacks had some very small subtle changes. So the overhead smash 1 went from motion value of 37 to 41. The motion value is basically how much damage you do. So that's about a 10% damage increase on the overhead smash 1, but on the overhead smash 2 it went from 23 to 45. So that's like a double. The damage of your overhead smash 2 doubled, which is crazy. Upswing went from 86 to 95, and the amount of status you do per attack when status procs increased by 30%, which is pretty nice. Focus mode finisher from 38 to 70. The charge being bagged from 95 to 120. That's crazy. It's basically like an extra couple of free attacks whenever you get an extra attack worth of damage when you do the charge being bagged, which is crazy. 22 to 23. It's up, then 17 to 18, so these multi-hit attacks got like very slight damage bonuses per hit. So yeah, and some nice status attribute rates. I'm not quite sure what G-shaped types means, so that maybe changes the area. Oh yeah, so it says in official patch notes, enlarge the hitboxes for upswing and sneak attacks. That could be that? I'm not sure about that, but yeah, overall damage increases, status increases. A lot of these things went away. 100 motion value to 130 motion value, and it increased the part breaking damage. So you do 50% more part damage with a big bang finisher than you used to. Well, 50% more part break damage multiplied by the 30% extra damage you're doing. So that's insane boosts, and 50% more status as well, in case you want to paralyze the monster with your big bang finisher. So yeah. Plus 10 damage on the charged upswing, 10% on the jumping charge attacks. 2 damage per tick, 2 mission value per tick on the midair spinning. Mighty charge slam went up 10 damage, 10 mission value with again a 50% part break rate. That's crazy. What's probably the upswing clash went from having 10 spot damage to 50. Wow. So that's cool. Might charge upswing as well. So yeah, these hammer buffs are absolutely crazy, and so there's the numbers for that. And yeah, I think that means that the hammer actually got a huge buff. The hunting horn also got some stuff as well. So the official patch notes say that the echo buff performance has increased and core damage has increased. The cancel timings. So stuff like cancel timings probably aren't going to be in this stuff. They'll be like in the actual game code. But for the numbers, you can see those numbers. We can see that the performance damage went from an idle position has gone from 29 to 35, which is nice. So that's about 20% extra damage on those attacks. Same with this. The side, doing it on a side attack is from 29 to 45. And back almost double the damage. Wow. Okay. Ooh, and the Encore, the second hit of the Encore goes from 50 to 75. That's 50% more damage. Wow. They say it has been significantly increased. I would call that a significant increase. That's really cool. Gunlance also got huge buffs. The overall power of attacks and element scaling has increased. What is that? Scaling increase. Wow, that is definitely a scaling increase. So lateral thrust went from having one time, so like a normal amount of status per attack, to doing double the status damage every attack. Oh, wait a second. Status satchel rate isn't the status damage, it's the element damage. Status condition rate is the name for the status damage. So status satchel rate going from 1 to 2 means we double the element damage on these attacks, which is a lot, actually. So basically, every attack you do here does like double the element damage you would normally do for a normal attack, which is a lot, because I think these attacks come out pretty fast, and Gunlance actually has pretty high, pretty decent base element, at least way more than stuff like Dual Blades do, like the element stat. So being able to just like, I wonder if you could just have like a meme element Gunlance build where you just did lateral thrust over and over again. That would be weird. Maybe I'll try that after this. But yeah, Wormstrike Thrust goes from 18 to 40. That's like double. A lot of these things, massive increase of damage. A Red Smash from 48 to 57. The official patch notes say a lot of other things. So they talk about how shelling and stuff changed. I don't have access to those details right now. What else is there? Let's go down the list. So Insect Glaive. So they mentioned some changes in Insect Glaive, which I couldn't seem to catch in the data mines. So they seem to be more gameplay focused things. So Kinsect behavior has changed, hitboxes have changed, elements have changed. That's nice. What happens to the ammo? So in the data mines, they're all just considered ammo, so it's hard to see which ammo exactly changed. But let's get through what we can see. So this ammo type has stun damage increase from 30 to 40, so I guess that's probably one of the what's it called, sticky ammo. Yes, so they mentioned that the sticky ammo damage and stun value has increased, so from 25 to 30, with about 33% more stun, which is actually pretty significant. So that should make stuns a bit faster to get. Other ones have damage increased. Now, a lot of these ammo types have changes to this statistic called multi-hit rate curve. I assume that affects how multi-hit attacks work. So stuff like the maximum hits from the element ammo. I assume that that is that. It's hard to tell exactly which ones are which and which ones get buffed and changed, but which ones get buffed and nerfed. But they do seem to be changes. So yeah, but it's hard to tell exactly what those numbers mean. What else? So we do get some numerical changes as well. Yes, so some certain ammo had increased to damage. That could be normal, but I'm not exactly sure. I'm not a Bowgun expert. But yeah, lots of damage changed, and this one went from 11 damage to 13 damage. And that's probably the same for the heavy Bowgun as well, so they both use the same sort of ammo statistics. To my understanding, the weapons themselves didn't change so much, it's just the actual ammo, which is their attacks. So no changes to focus strikes and whatever else that we can spot. What other changes are there? Let's go back to the top. So, the Greatsword has some interesting stuff. So this multi-hit rate curve, which was the same thing that affected the hit rate of the ammos, also seemed to have changes for the Greatsword, which I found weird because the official patch notes don't mention anything about multi-hit attacks. But that's the plunging thrust, so that seems to be that is a multi-hit rate attack, right? So that might make it easier or harder to land like multiple hits with those. Hard to tell exactly. Same thing with the perforate, which was the focus strike. Interesting. Changes to the after charge /1. Maybe that is that guarding thing, or maybe that just changes the charge rate. Hard to see. And yes, there's a change to the focus strike multi-hit rates. Not sure exactly what they are again, but they could be. Since it's the same variable as for the ammo, that could be something. And couldn't really catch stuff for the other weapons. I couldn't catch anything for Sword and Shield, Dual Blades, Longsword, or Hammer. They all nominally had changes. Sword and Shield had changes to Focus Strike, apparently, and to AT Ray Dow specifically, which is weird. Um, I say that, but having weird programming issues like this seems very normal to me. Longsword has changes to Spirit Helm Breaker to make sure you can get multiple hits out. That didn't get caught, but I have no reason to doubt that. And Dual Blades also had changes to how those attacks worked. But yeah, so bottom line, these are my unofficial patch notes. Feel free to browse them. Yeah, and it really does seem like Hammer got massively buffed, and so was Gunlance, Hunting Horn, and the Bowguns. Now I saw in the dev notes that they were going to buff Hammer even further, which is going to be incredibly interesting and cool, and also some dual blades, so I'm interested to see what's going on for that. So yeah, those are the actual changes. Feel free to check Tillamo's out of mine, the official patch notes, or my unofficial patch notes to see more details about your favorite weapons and how they've changed. But yeah, with that being said, see you next one, and yeah, take care. Oh, and thanks to all of my Patreons. I'll flash them on screen, especially my top tier Patreons, Oliver Bolton, Jack Bingham, and yeah, bye.